That one's a bad one. What?
Okay. In
Okay.
your big book of boo-boos, we're on page 172.
Yay, I got the page. Can I read?
Sure, Mila. Well, hold on just a sec. So we're going to read
Okay,
whooping cranes in danger. We're going to think about how can people help animals survive.
Okay, what page?
173.
I can't see myself.
Pay attention.
I am. Switch camera. Wait, what was I? There we go.
All right, Mila, do you want to read now?
Hello. Hello, hello. Where is everyone else today? I don't know. Huh?
Allie went with her parents, and then
How many people were on the first
At
Zoom
Piper's
meeting? I tried to
parents
get
are
on,
working,
but I
so.
couldn't. What?
Piper and
Alright, my mom
Allie
said I had to
can't
leave
get
my
on today.
house for now. So I had to go next door to my Mimi and Papa's and do my work.
I'm gonna mute everybody until.
Yeah.
I'm coming, Merrick. Turn off that TV, mister.
All right, Mila, unmute yourself and you can start reading, okay?
There are many types of heroes. Superheroes in comics catch bad guys. Astronauts risk their lives to explore space. Doctors devote their careers to finding
Cures.
cures for dreadful diseases. Our story has heroes too. Scientists and their helpers are saving the whooping cranes.
Whoopers need help. Ava, you want to read? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Long ago, whooping cranes lived all over North America. Then people started hunting them. Farmers and builders took over the marshes these birds called home. Whoopers were losing the resources they needed. By 1941, only 15 whooping cranes were left in the wild. It looked as if they could die out forever. Some people refused to let this happen. The government reserved land for these cranes to live on. Hunters could not enter this wildlife refuges. Scientists guarded this tiny flock in Texas. 70 years later, its population has grown to 200 birds, but one flock is not enough. A disease or storm could wipe it out completely. Scientists decided to create a new flock in Wisconsin. 2 groups of birds are safer than one. 74.
And without places to get food and raise families, the whooping crane could not survive. A tough problem. Anyone want to read that? Mila, go ahead.
Building a new flock of whoopers is harder than it seems. These cranes are born up north, then they migrate south in fall to avoid the cold winter. In spring, they fly back north for the summer. Who says birds aren't smart? Scientists have a big problem to solve. They couldn't just grab some whoopers from the first flock to start a new one. When returning north, adult birds will only go back to the place they were born. So all the members of the second flock had to be born in the new spot. How could that happen? Who would their parents be?
A clever solution. 11 eggs were about to hatch in spring of 2001. Their parents were ready to welcome these chicks to the world. Their puppet parents, that is. So this puppet takes the place of a whooping crane's chick's mother. Scientists had to raise the chicks, but the whoopers weren't supposed to get used to people. The birds needed to be wild to stay alive. So humans pretended to be whooping cranes. They wore white costumes to hide their faces and bodies. They wore puppets on their arms to deal with the chicks. The caretakers never spoke near the birds. They talked to the chicks by playing tapes of real whooping cranes. They also had real whoopers in the refuge. The chicks needed to know what actual grown-up whooping cranes look like. Caretakers used the puppets to teach the chicks the same skills the real parents would. The puppets showed them where to swim and where to sleep. They even taught the chicks how to get along with other cranes. The puppets could teach each other, but they couldn't teach the chicks how to fly. So why did the scientists wear costumes? Anyone remember? Kenna, you gotta unmute yourself.
So the little chicklets wouldn't think that they weren't wild.
Yep.
And so they feel like they're still out in the wild and they know where to do stuff and all that.
Yeah, because it'd be
And
bad
they're
if
wearing
they did.
costumes, so the birds don't think they're real humans and make sure they don't get used to humans.
Yep. Exactly. The biggest parent of them all, pilots of ultralight planes could do the job. They put on their costumes and got to work. At first, the plane just rolled across the ground. A pilot played a special crane call, which meant, "Come on, follow me." That's exactly what the chicks did. Of course, the treats given out by the pilot's puppet helped a lot. As days passed, the plane sped up. The chicks did too. Flapping their wings helped them go faster. It also made their wings grow stronger. At last, they ran fast enough and flapped hard enough, and up they went. Soon the cranes were flying almost every day. They had to. Fall was coming. They had to be strong enough to migrate more than 1,200 miles to Florida. The whoopers learned to follow the ultralight on the ground and the air. They had to learn to recognize their Wisconsin home from the air because the plane would not lead them back the next spring. So Operation Migration. Finally, the big day came. This experiment started with 11 eggs. 2 chicks had gotten sick and died. One couldn't fly well and moved to a zoo. The other 8 whoopers were ready to go. 2 ultralights revved their engines. One would lead the birds. The other would track down cranes that strayed from the flock. The plane took off. The birds did too. They were on their way. Planes and birds were only part of the migration. A crew drove south too. The birds had to eat and rest at night. Scientists had chosen safe places along the way. The crew rushed ahead to set up pens for them to stay in. The trip was hard. The cranes flew up to 95 miles on good days, only 20 on bad ones. Often rain and wind kept them from flying at all. On sad nights, a giant storm ripped their pen apart. Caretakers spent hours searching and calling for their whoopers. All were fine except one. He had flown into a power line and died. After 48 days, the plane flew over the birds' winter home in Florida. The caretaker on the ground played the whooping crane call. The whoopers swooped in for a landing. The first part of the journey was a success. A warm winter. What was one of the first things the whoopers learned about Florida? Crabs are delicious. The shells were hard, but the meat was soft. Puppet parents helped the whoopers learn to pick them apart. At first, the cranes strayed in the pen as big as a football field. It even had a pond with a fake whooper parent in it to make them feel safe. Actually, they were safer in the pond. Cranes usually sleep in the water at night. Splashing sounds warn them if a predator is nearby. In time, caretakers took the top off the pen. Cranes flew out to explore more of their new home. Caretakers hid, watching them enjoy yummy shrimp and snails. Generally, the whoopers returned to the pen at night. Sometimes they did. 2 cranes were killed by bobcats. Now there were 5. In spring, the birds started eating more. That was a good sign. They were storing energy for a trip north. Still, the scientists wondered, would the cranes know when to leave? Homeward bound. One day, caretakers heard radio signals. Cranes had leg bands that sent out these sounds. The whoopers were on the move. Caretakers jumped into 2 trucks to follow the signals. They had to hurry. The trip home would be much faster. Air has currents just like water does. Birds ride these currents the same way the surfers ride waves. The crane traveled more than 200 miles the very first day. They were headed north. But would they remember their route? Soon scientists had another thing to worry about. One crane left the group. A truck turned to track her. Where was she going and why? So what do you think they were worried about? Ava? You gotta unmute yourself.
Oh yeah, I think they were worried about her like taking off and getting killed since so many got killed.
Yeah. Okay. Day by day, the cranes kept flying. Then the group of 4 reached Lake Michigan. They began to circle. Oh no, thought the trackers. They do not know which way to go. The whoopers kept circling around and around. After 2 hours, they finally turned west. They were on course. 11 days after leaving Florida, these 4 cranes came in for a landing. They were very close to the pen they grew up in. What about the last crane? She ended up visiting a flock of sandhill cranes for a while. Sandhill cranes are relatives of whooping cranes. 2 weeks later, she came back home to the refuge. A new beginning. The first migration was finished. But the whooping crane's recovery had just begun. The next year, these 5 cranes flew south by themselves. The ultralights were busy leading 16 new chicks. The planes still led migrations each fall. But now, whooping crane parents are leading their own chicks down south. Some of these chicks have grown up enough to have babies of their own. The whooping crane is still threatened. It remains one of America's most endangered birds. But scientists are hopeful. Luckily, the flock keeps getting bigger. How are they doing now? Mila? How are whooping cranes doing? How'd our story end? All right, Tenley, how'd the whooping cranes end? Tenley, you gotta unmute yourself. There you go.
The flock keeps getting bigger, but I didn't know what page we were on.
Oh, that's all right. I just finished reading the story.
Were we on the whooping cranes?
Yep, we're on the whooping cranes.
Yeah, their flock kept getting bigger.
Yep, that's a good thing. All right, we're gonna go over your work for today. So we read the story.
This is litter.
Yeah.
I put all my work in my folder that I had for last year of online.
Oh, did you? That's a good spot for it.
Organize it. Mom doesn't like it a mess around here.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over this.
Okay, I had to go to my house for this then to get some paper. My parents only said, come here for breakfast, which I already had breakfast, but whatever. I had to go to my house. I didn't bring any shoes.
Henley, you should probably wear shoes.
I know.
Okay, so whooping cranes in danger. And so it wants you in your book to reread the last paragraph on page 175. And you can't talk with partners because we're at home. What does the author do to create more interest in puppet parents? So in the 2 boxes, what does the author do to make you interested about the puppet parents?
I don't know.
and then what I want to do.
Oh,
And then how does the author organize the text? What does he do to help organize? On the back side, it wants you to reread page 177. And then what clues show why the author chose the heading, the biggest parent of them all?
I don't know.
So why do you think he chose that? And then down here, you're pretty much just writing these three in sentences. So why is that a good heading? The last page, a new beginning on page 183, I want you to read. What clues help you understand the whooping crane's new beginning?
Mrs. Witter, why is Piper not here?
Both her parents are working, so they have a hard time getting her on Zoom meetings.
Both my mom's hunting and my dad's at his work.
Yeah. Well, it's easier for some people. It's all right. We'll make it work.
Doing. You like my background?
Yeah.
I do that.
So the last thing, the author uses beginning at the end of the selection to. Why do you think the author would use the word beginning? What it wants to know. So just try your best. I know those can be hard. Grammar today, combining sentences. Let's combine the sentence use and to join the underlined predicate nouns and then write the new sentence. So number 1 says, at the beach we saw seagulls. And then at the beach we saw pelicans. How could we make that one sentence? Using the word and.
I don't know.
So the first part is exactly the same. At the beach we saw, what did we see?
I'm seeing we have to do. What's text evidence again?
Anything they write in the story.
Oh, I'm supposed to know.
So at the beach we saw, what did we see at the beach?
I see starfish at the beach.
What did they see at the beach?
I don't know how you change your background because it's not letting me. So. Henley, are you on a tablet or a computer? What? A tablet. Then
That might be why.
Go to the top and go to more. Do that. And it says chat 5 meeting settings, minimize meeting, raise hand, or disconnect audio.
It might not.
Does it say virtual background? No. And then it has smiley faces.
She might not be able to, how much she's on.
Well, when you're joining the meeting, look for background, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
Mrs. Widow.
Yeah.
Is that like close to the front or the back?
Okay. So this is what I want you to do. So the first part of the sentence is the same. At the beach we saw. And then the two things they saw were seagulls and pelicans.
Mrs. Witter, you only gave us one coloring page.
I know.
Why?
Because it's a short day next week.
How short?
You only have a half day on Tuesday.
And that will be? So what? We still have a long week.
I know.
But why did we have to do virtual?
As
I think
we didn't have enough subs.
I think you gave us extra work.
Extra work? No, we would do all this work if we were at school.
No, we wouldn't.
Yes, we would, Tenley, but it would be
Yeah.
a longer day, so I'm glad we have virtual.
Yeah. And actually, you would have more work in school because there's
Yeah.
some stuff that we do in school that I can't give you at home,
Like what?
True.
like spelling test. You don't have a spelling test this week. We're not doing mad math because that would just be crazy.
Wait, yeah, we can do spelling tests. You can send us our parents
The link that we
thing,
can
and then
put
they can
on.
tell us, and then we can write it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I suppose your parents could give you a spelling test and you could turn it in.
Yeah.
Mila doesn't like that idea.
Oh.
Okay. So
can do
this paper, you should be able to figure it out. Just combine. It looks like both sentences start the same. So rewrite how the sentence starts and then just put those words, put an and between them.
Okay.
All right. Cursive. If you haven't already done them all.
No.
At the zoo. So you only have to write. First, I saw the white bear. Then I saw the black. Then I saw the camel with a hump upon his back. That's what you write in cursive today. It's kind of a silly
But
one.
nobody has the shoes on right now.
No.
Waiting for Daddy.
Do
All
you
right, and then
on?
DOL number 2.
I don't.
Yes, her grandmother lives in Portland, Oregon.
It's done.
Why do my feet look orange?
So what is wrong with that sentence?
I'm getting hurt.
Emily, do you know where your DOL is?
No, you didn't give me one.
I did, but
I think I already did that
okay.
yesterday.
Does anyone have it in front of them?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't have it. I'm a vampire dog.
Oh.
Is that it?
Yep.
Why-
So that is all your work for today. Anyone have any questions? Any questions about what you have to do?
No. So we're done with school?
Well, we're done with English for right now.
Oh, so we're switching.
Is
Yep.
it this?
Next class, I
Um,
will be in my room, not in the
So
kitchen.
at 11:10, we're gonna talk about theology. So bring your theology stuff, okay?
Is
Next
this it?
class, I will be on my counter.
It's at 11:10.
Bye, you guys.
Is this it?
Yep, that's for
Next
today.
class, I will be.
Got it.
I will be in the kitchen, not in my room.
Evil.
You guys want to see how cool my kitchen is?
All right, I'm gonna stop recording, then I'll let you talk for a couple minutes.
Yay! Come